There is something you may have noticed about highly intelligent people, but you may have never fully understood the reason behind it. They often spend a lot of time alone, not because they are unable to connect with others, but because they consciously choose distance over unnecessary interaction. While most people constantly seek attention, validation, and social engagement, intelligent individuals tend to move in the opposite direction. They observe more than they speak, they analyze more than they react, and they become extremely selective about who they allow into their lives. This behavior is often misunderstood as arrogance, coldness, or even loneliness. But the truth is much deeper than that. Intelligent people experience the world differently because their level of awareness allows them to see beyond surface-level interactions. They notice patterns in behavior, they understand hidden intentions, and they quickly recognize when something lacks authenticity or depth. Because of this, they find it difficult to engage in conversations or relationships that feel forced, shallow, or meaningless. Over time, this awareness leads them to withdraw from environments that do not align with their mindset. They begin to value quality over quantity when it comes to relationships, and they prefer meaningful connections over constant social interaction. As a result, they spend more time alone, not because they are lonely, but because they are protecting their mental clarity and emotional energy. And once you understand the psychology behind this choice, you will realize that being alone is not always a weakness, but often a sign of a mind that refuses to settle for less. They think beyond surface-level interactions. Intelligent people process the world in a deeper and more complex way compared to the average person. And this difference in thinking plays a major role in why they choose to be alone more often. They are not satisfied with simple conversations or interactions that lack meaning because their minds are constantly searching for depth, understanding, and purpose. While many people enjoy casual conversations and light social interactions, intelligent individuals often find these experiences mentally draining and emotionally unfulfilling. This is because they are not just listening to words, but they are analyzing tone, intention, and the underlying meaning behind what is being said. This level of awareness makes it difficult for them to fully engage in environments where conversations feel repetitive or superficial. They quickly recognize when discussions lack substance, and this creates a sense of disconnection that pushes them away from such interactions. It is not that they dislike people, but rather that they struggle to connect in environments that do not stimulate them intellectually or emotionally. Over time, this leads them to withdraw from situations that do not align with their way of thinking. They begin to prioritize meaningful conversations and deeper connections over frequent socializing. Instead of having many relationships, they prefer a few that offer genuine understanding and mutual growth. This selective approach naturally results in spending more time alone, but that time is not wasted. It becomes an opportunity for reflection, learning, and personal development. They use solitude as a space to think clearly and explore ideas without distraction. As this habit continues, their comfort with being alone grows stronger, and they begin to see solitude not as isolation, but as a valuable part of their lifestyle. They become highly selective with people. Another major reason why intelligent people choose to be alone is because they become extremely selective about the people they allow into their lives. They understand that not every relationship is beneficial and not every interaction adds value. While many people tolerate negative behavior or maintain connections out of habit or social pressure, intelligent individuals tend to distance themselves quickly when they notice patterns of toxicity, manipulation, or superficiality. They are able to recognize these patterns early because of their strong observational skills and awareness of human behavior. They do not need repeated experiences to understand someone's intentions, as they can often identify them through subtle signs. This ability helps them protect themselves, but it also limits the number of people they feel comfortable connecting with. As a result, their social circle becomes smaller and more intentional. They begin to value peace over popularity and clarity over constant engagement. They avoid drama, unnecessary conflict, and emotionally draining situations because they understand the long-term impact these things can have on their mental state. This does not mean they are antisocial, but it means they are conscious of where they invest their time and energy. They prefer calm and meaningful environments over chaotic and superficial ones. Over time, this selectiveness leads to a lifestyle where solitude becomes normal and even preferred. They no longer feel the need to force connections just to avoid being alone. Instead, they become comfortable with the idea that Fewer meaningful relationships are more valuable than many shallow ones. They rely on internal validation. Intelligent people often choose to be alone because they rely more on internal validation than external approval, which significantly reduces their need for constant social interaction. Most people look for acceptance, recognition, and reassurance from others, but intelligent individuals tend to find that within themselves. They trust their own judgment and do not feel the need to constantly prove their worth to others. This independence creates a strong sense of self that is not easily influenced by outside opinions. They are comfortable with who they are, even if others do not fully understand them. Because of this, they do not chase attention or seek validation through social engagement. Instead, they focus on personal growth, self-improvement, and developing their understanding of the world. This focus often requires time, concentration, and solitude, which naturally leads them to spend more time alone. They use this time to reflect, think deeply, and refine their ideas without distraction. Over time, this habit strengthens their confidence and reduces their dependence on others for emotional support or approval. They become more self-reliant and more comfortable in their own company. This does not mean they reject connection, but it means they do not depend on it for their sense of identity or worth. And because they are not just conversation, and because they are not driven by the need for external validation, they are more selective about when and how they engage with others. They are more sensitive to their environment. Another important reason why intelligent people choose solitude is because they are often more sensitive to their environment and the people around them. They tend to notice subtle details that others may overlook, including changes in tone, behavior, and emotional energy. This heightened awareness can make social environments overwhelming, especially when those environments are filled with negativity, superficial interactions, or emotional tension. Even when nothing significant appears to be happening on the surface, they may still feel mentally drained because they are processing more information than others. As a result, they seek environments where they can feel calm, focused, and at peace. And often that environment is solitude. Being alone allows them to recharge and regain their mental clarity without external interference. It gives them the space to process their thoughts, organize their ideas, and reflect on their experiences. This is especially important for individuals who think deeply and feel intensely. Without this time alone, they may feel overwhelmed or mentally exhausted. This is why they view solitude as a form of self-care rather than isolation. They understand that constant social interaction is not always beneficial, and they create a balance where they can engage when necessary, but return to solitude when needed. Over time, this balance helps them maintain their emotional stability and overall well-being. They understand the value of being alone. Intelligent people also choose to be alone because they understand the difference between being alone and being lonely, which allows them to see solitude in a completely different way. While many people associate being alone with emptiness or rejection, intelligent individuals view it as an opportunity for growth, clarity, and self-discovery. They do not rely on constant interaction to feel complete because they find fulfillment in their own thoughts, ideas, and personal development. This mindset allows them to enjoy their own company without feeling the need to escape it. They become comfortable with silence and do not feel the need to fill every moment with noise or distraction. This comfort creates a sense of inner peace that is difficult to achieve through external means. They are not avoiding people, but they are choosing themselves and their well-being first. They prioritize mental clarity, emotional stability, and personal growth over social expectations. This often results in fewer but more meaningful relationships that align with their values. Because they are not afraid of being alone, they do not settle for connections that do not add value to their lives. This independence gives them freedom to live authentically, without being influenced by societal pressure. And in that freedom, they find a level of peace and clarity that many people struggle to achieve. The psychology behind why intelligent people choose to be alone is not based on loneliness or inability to connect, but on awareness, selectiveness, and a deep understanding of themselves and the world around them. They see beyond surface-level interactions and choose depth over distraction in every aspect of their lives. They protect their energy, value their time, and prioritize their mental clarity above unnecessary social engagement. Their solitude is not emptiness, but purpose. It is a space where they think, grow, and develop a deeper understanding of life. While others may fear being alone, intelligent people embrace it because they recognize its value. They do not need constant validation or approval to feel complete. because they rely on their own understanding and self-awareness. This independence may make them appear distant, but in reality they are simply selective. They are not avoiding connection but choosing meaningful connections over meaningless noise. And that choice often leads them to spend more time alone, but that time becomes their greatest strength. Because in that silence they build clarity, in that distance they find peace, and in that solitude they become who they truly are.